Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm glad you could be here. If you're new, I'm Carey. I'm a matchmaker and a dating coach out of Chicago. And if you're new, there are two things that I repeat and sort of preach over and over again because I want everyone to be a better dater and have more fun on their first dates. I recommend two things over and over. If you've missed them, they are number one, a first date should be fun. You don't have to have all your questions answered. It doesn't need to be an interview. It needs to be an evening of sharing stories and hopefully sharing some laughs and figuring out whether you feel some type of a connection with this person and enjoyed their company enough that you would want to see them one more time. And also, I want everybody to realize that we're not for everybody. Not everybody's going to like me. I could go out and have a great time with somebody and they could feel that I'm not somebody they want to spend another evening with because they didn't really jive with me or feel like we communicated on the same plane, or there was something about me they just didn't like, and that's going to happen. I'm not for everybody. So I feel that if we can realize that before we even go out there, it makes rejection and not connecting with somebody much easier to deal with because we have expectations that we're not for everyone. Today, what I wanted to share with you are 5 dating hacks, all different kind of thoughts that I've had, things that have come up in feedback conversations with clients over the last couple of weeks. I hope you'll stick around for those because that's what's up right now. Number one, I want everybody to feel present and in the moment on their dates. And one thing that can get in the way of that is if you have that problem of thinking ahead as to what you're going to ask next. And this is part of that interview style, right? It's like, what am I going to ask him next? And you aren't paying attention to what he's saying now so that you could perhaps pick up on something in the details of what he's currently sharing and use that to segue upon. And curiosity may just hit you naturally and you will actually have a question that comes to you from what he's sharing with you. If you'd ask them, for instance, well, where was the last place you went on vacation? And they said they went to Thailand, and you have a friend who went to Thailand. So you're thinking, what did my friend say about Thailand? Instead, he may mention the fact that Thailand was one of his favorite places. He's been there a few times because he loves the food. Instead of talking about your friend's trip to Thailand, which really isn't going to make you learn anything more about him, it's kind of just trying to create some type of a commonality. Instead, use what he just said and rebound off of that and ask him what types of food he most enjoyed. Like, what do they serve there? I've never been to Thailand. I've heard about this street food over and over, but if I were there, what would I actually be eating? Is it like weird stuff that sometimes you encounter in other countries, or is it like things we find at Thai restaurants here? There's information he's sharing that would be authentic to ask something else, as opposed to you wandering off during the conversation and trying to think, did I ask him about his siblings? And you're not even paying attention. Also, a little quick thought I had at the beginning here is that being present and being in the moment is something you may have to remind yourself of. I had a client once who said that before she walked into any date, she would pause in the doorway and center herself and say, I'm going to leave the day behind me, all the issues from work this afternoon outside, and I'm going to go in here and be the best version of myself and truly be interested and be in the moment. And I think taking that moment for yourself can be really helpful. I've adopted that in multiple situations, and I find that that moment to consciously make the effort and remind myself that I want to be present is really helpful. So that's number one. And number two, speaking of these interviews that we often find ourselves in, is that I want to remind you to instead try your very best, think about it, and do a little prep ahead of time to instead share thoughts, ideas, stories. Have some stories on hand that you enjoy sharing with people or you think that other people have found interesting. Have a little tally of them in your head and be willing to bring those out and share them on the date with this person, because they will share something about yourself without having to be asked a specific question. And know that connections are not really made by saying me too. when somebody shares a story, to immediately jump into your story about the time you were also in Vegas does not really form any type of a bond between the two of you. It really shows that you were listening and you heard him say Vegas, but that you immediately went to my trip to Vegas instead of asking him more about why he was in Vegas. What does he do there? Does he like to gamble? Does he see any shows? How long did he stay? Does he, where does he eat when he goes to Vegas? These types of things. Does he think that Vegas is a cool place for family trips? All these things that just came to my mind. Perhaps one of those would be your second interest in his story about Vegas, as opposed to just proving that you have so much in common because you've also been to Las Vegas. Number 3, for us gals, maybe guys too, I don't know, I've never discussed this with men, but I know for a lot of my female clients, myself included, getting ready for a big evening out or an afternoon if that's what you've planned, but knowing it's something special, it is fun. It's a great time, like preparing for a date, picking out what you're going to wear, and maybe trying a new shiny eyeshadow or a new lipstick. It's fun. I look forward to that prepping, that primping that goes into a date. But I want to remind you to not get so hung up on that part of it, because truly, whether you're a person who enjoys that or not, much more important than how you look on the date is how you feel. And that confidence and that being able to be vulnerable and truly yourself and not put on any airs is really so much more important. So maybe even think about that when you're picking out clothes, that you don't want it to be too fussy so that it's a distraction from who you really are, so that you can be most your real self as far as your confidence and being comfortable. Those are really what other people find they connect with, much more than thinking that you look like you're so well put together. Of course, we want to look nice, of course, but remember that that is secondary to the confidence that you bring into that date with you, the kindness and the vulnerability. Number 4, the 4th hack would be to slow the heck down. You like how I put heck in there? Yeah. In a lot of ways, in all ways, slow down. Sometimes the excitement of a date can make us talk faster, can make us talk more. It's not speed dating. Unless it is speed dating, it's not speed dating. So take a breath. Don't be afraid of silences. They don't have to be awkward silences. Remember to breathe. Remember to take in your surroundings, because often your conversation or thoughts you have can create a whole new level of sharing, or something you've noticed that triggers a thought for you or an opinion on something. And then slowing down also pertains to after the date. Quick reminder that you're not in a rush to be in a relationship. This is a process of getting to know somebody. So allow that beginning of a relationship to breathe. Don't start letting your mind go crazy and picturing the next big holiday and how he's going to be a part of that, and introducing him to your family and how far apart you live from one another. Instead, just let it play out. See if you like him. Give it time for him to figure out if he likes you. Let that second date happen. Don't be right there texting a lot or making assumptions that this person is someone who texts as much as you do or will call you on the phone. So just give it some space, let it breathe. Don't rush things, just take your time. And number 5, this hack is really helpful. Just realize this may not be it. You may be enjoying it. You may realize after the date that there were a couple red flags or a deal breaker that kind of like went over your head when you were in the moment trying to be charming, and or this person may not like you. So be prepared for the fact that you're not for everybody, and this person may not be attracted to you or think you're not their type, and they may not want to go on a second date. And wrap your head around that so that it doesn't hurt your feelings. It shouldn't. It should not hurt your feelings at all. How much of your 50 years is this person getting to know in a 1.5 hour date or so? A very small amount. So if they're judging you on that, that's not truly who you are. It's just what they have learned, what they've filtered through their experiences of who they think you may be. So you can't let that ever get you down. Don't be disappointed. You may be a little disappointed, but don't take it personally. Don't let that go beyond an initial disappointment to make you feel badly about yourself. You're not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. Not everybody's going to like us because we're not everybody's cup of tea or cup of coffee. And with that, I want to remind you that if you found this episode helpful or interesting, to please give it a thumbs up. And hit that ring bell. Will notify you every time I upload a new episode. That's assuming you're subscribed to my channel. Please do that. Helps me out a lot. It's free, doesn't cost anything, and it helps the algorithm push out my videos to more people so I can help all of us be better daters. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, thank you again and have a good one. In fact, make it a good one because that's up to you.